Hey everyone, welcome back to Matt's Models and More. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining in once again. If this is your first time, please like, subscribe, and share. I think you'll like this channel. This channel is all about model making on the automotive side with tips, tricks, reviews, how-tos, all that good stuff. So let's dive in. Looking for the best aftermarket parts and accessories for your model? Look no further than MCV Products. Bring your models to life at mcvproducts.com. Okay, welcome back. So this is probably going to be an easy video for a lot of people that follow me and have been doing this for years, but we're talking about panel lines. Not all panel lines should be created the same way, and not all of them should be thick, not all of them should be really thin. You got to know when to use them, when not to use them, because there's lines all over a model. Some need to be highlighted, some don't. If you look at any one-to-one car, if you walk outside and look at your car at any given time during the day, just focus on those door lines, the trunk, the hood, even around the gas tank, you will notice that there are shadows that show up significantly when you're looking at it. And that brings realism to your model. So you definitely want to use that. Now, this is, I don't want to say elementary. It's really not, because I've gone to model shows and seen people that's been building for years not do any panel lines. And I've seen some that have gone overboard and did too much panel line. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the bench. I'm going to show you what I do. It doesn't mean it's the perfect way to do it. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at these pictures, some cars have the perfect amount of panel line. And it's not just for cars. I mean, it goes across our hobby. If you look at Gundams, if you look at airplanes, I mean, all of those things are going to have shadows and lines where panels meet each other and the light does not hit it. So it creates that shadow and it creates that depth, and depth creates realism. So this is something I find is pretty important. I know there's some videos out there that discuss it, but I just wanted to kind of go back over it and show you what I do. So let's head to the bench. Okay, welcome back to the bench. We're going to start with a couple of examples. I am actually working on two. A lot of y'all have already seen this one. This is the Acme project that I'm working on for the Songs in Motion. I will go over that here in just a second. And I'm also working on a 1956 Chrysler 300, which I'm really digging. And I've got a really cool paint scheme I'm going to do with this one. But needless to say, I wanted to start with a couple of things about the panel lines. First, if you're going to do a curbside and you're not going to cut out the roof, I'm sorry, the hood, there's a couple of things to remember. I try to concentrate my panel lines only on the main subjects of the vehicle, which is usually your hood, of course, the trunk, doors, and maybe even a gas tank. Sometimes, you know, some these cars will have lines down here a lot of times. I feel if you put too much of that in there, it kind of draws away from everything else. So you want to be a little bit careful. Like here's another instance where a body line will meet another panel, and that's not necessarily something you're going to want to panel line. You're certainly welcome to if that's something you want to do, but to me, there's a such thing as too much. Sometimes less is more, but you don't want to have none unless you're totally shaving everything off. Then that's completely understandable. Same thing goes with this one. You know, I could go all through these panel lines if I wanted to, around the fenders, but I'm just concentrating on the door. This is going to have a door open, but here's where you really see, just sitting right here, see the depth and the shadow that the panel line is causing on these doors, and that's what you want. It's not taking the attention away from anything else. I'm sorry, it is taking the attention away from things like the fender lines and the molding on the bottom. Those are going to be done with bare metal foil, and that's going to create its own depth itself. So the actual panel lines is where you want to go. Now, another tip is be careful, or not to be careful. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A lot of people will stop their panel lines right where the molding ends, and in my opinion, you want to go past that into the actual panel that wraps around. And I might have a good example here. Yeah, you could see now this on this particular kit. This is a Mobius kit, which is really good anyway, but the line stopped about halfway in the middle of that molding, and I went ahead and wrapped it all the way around. Let's see if I can get it from the other side. You really can't, but you can see, make sure you go all the way through to create that realism. Don't let it just stop. And the other thing to keep in mind too is when you have doors like this that actually curve and go up, it's important that you get that as well. I'm really not worried about this, and there's a reason for that. There's a lip on this roof. That's going to create a shadow already. So when the car's sitting there, you can see it already. I never used any kind of tool to make that line. That line is created by itself. So you just got to, that's what I'm talking about knowing when to stop, when to go. But of course, running down that door, turning, and then going down, and then going across here. Curves are tricky, and I'm going to go over all that. So that's the important of it. Now the next thing, or the actually we'll start, that was just an oversight or oversee. We're going to actually go over the tools I use first. So number one, the tools to do it. Now, I used to use the backside of a number 11 X-Acto blade, and I did that for a long time, and I still do from time to time, but I use it mainly for getting around curves. So if you have an area like this where it's curving, I will use this still because I feel like I have a little more control. And sometimes I'll even take this blade out of here, put some tape around the bottom of it, and just use the actual blade itself to get around. Just because if you're not careful with the next tool I'm going to show, it will actually go too far and you can actually scratch. And I think I've got one on here I had to fix. Yeah, down here. And believe it or not, this is not even a curve. This was a straight line, but occasionally the blade will jump out. Usually from negligence, me not paying attention or being as careful as I should, but it left a little scratch there, so I had to fix that. And there was another one right here. So here's the curve that I was talking about. I was actually using my number 11 backside blade, and when I came around the curve, it jumped and left a scratch right there, so I had to repair it. So no matter how slow you go, sometimes you still you're going to have accidents. So it's just inevitable no matter how careful you are. Just try to be as careful as you can. Now, I don't use this anymore except for curves. This is my go-to. This is a Tamiya, and it's made specially for panel lining. Now, what I like about this tool is you have several ways to cut. You've got blades, and you got one right here, there, and right there. So those are all coming in real handy. The other thing I like about it is they have balanced this tool, which we're going to get to because I'm going to start a new project. They have balanced this tool, and it's more of a drag tool that you can stay pretty much level and drag just barely, and it stays in the groove by the way this blade is shaped. And it does come with more inside. So you do have, I want to say it came with 4. So very, very handy tool. So that's number one, is the tools, of course. And of course, number 2 I meant to put up is the drag motion. To me, you have more control dragging than you do pushing. So don't push, and don't try to go up unless you already have a really fine line already created, because I have done that before using this tool. after I've created the tool by doing the drag motion, I have actually went back and went real slow with this part, and it's sharp. So that does a good job there. All right, so let's go ahead and pull out. This is my next project here. This is a 65 Buick Riviera. I'm excited about this one. I've always loved Rivieras, and this one is a virgin. It has not been touched at all. You can see the panel lines. Look at the difference there. See the panel lines on that with primer, and look, can't see anything. So these panel lines are pretty light, so we're gonna have to be real careful because it could jump off. And if it does, hey, I'm gonna show my mistakes on here, because as you can see, I've had to fix a couple of them. So matter of fact, even on the Lincoln, that's one that jumped off right there at the edge, just so close, and that was a straight line. Sometimes it makes no sense. Sometimes I think pieces from the plastic that you're actually stripping off, if you don't clean that tool enough, it will actually become enlarged in that line and actually help jump the blade off of there. So you do have to be careful here. So just looking over this thing, I can see that the panel lines are really weak. This is a good strong one going down the bottom. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that's a good line there. And on this model, I'll show you what I'm going to focus on. We're going to focus on the doors. I'm not opening anything up on, well, you know what? I may open the trunk, and that will bring in another process. So of course the trunk lines, and that's going to go all the way around down to right here. Man, bad panel lines there. I'm going to have to get fixed. This must have had the gas tank, because there's no gas lid anywhere. Wow, that's it, because we want to leave the hood open, of course. So we're going to concentrate on the lines for the door, and the lines on this door, and the trunk. So we're going to start on the straight line. I feel like if you're getting a new model, you're wanting to learn its new curves, you're wanting to remember, you know, you've got memory, what do they call it? Memory action, or, you know, from using a tool, you need to get back into that swinging thing. So the way I like to do it is stick it right there in that little groove. Boy, and these things are thin. And I'm not putting any pressure on it. I am just dragging it across. That's it. And you can see the debris that it leaves on there. So if you don't clean this off after every swipe, you can end up getting that lodged in the line, and then you're going to end up jumping off. So again, I'm just letting the tool do the work. Start there in the corner, and I pull it back slowly. No pressure. No pressure. Now, I will say, since I'm going to be cutting this trunk out, I won't do that on this one. I just wanted to get my memory action back into focus, just so I can feel good about it. And it's, you know, this blade is amazing in here. But on a door, because I'm going to be cutting this out, so I'm going to be doing this a lot, so I won't bore you with that. But on a door, you're only going to need to maybe do it 4 or 5 times, because you don't want it too deep. And for an example, let me show you. I'm going to bring this baby back into focus here. That, see those panel lines there? To me, that was the perfect depth. Not too dark, not too thick. And it just worked out just right, even on the trunk, because I did not open the doors or anything on this one really, other than the engine bay. But I'm going to use this as an example at the end from when we're actually using the panel liner. So let's go back and show you why you've got these curves, and when to use this and when to actually use this. So, look at here. Perfect example. I should be able to zoom in. The cut stops right on that belt molding. Now that's not realistic to me because the door would open, so that belt molding would open up with the door. So what I like to do is put my X-Acto right on that line, move it up, and I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see it. And then I'm just cutting slowly. There we go. So now you can see that line goes all the way across the belt molding. And I'll do that a couple of times just to deepen it and almost create like a gap. Now you went from looking like a model to looking like a real car, and of course we will clean that up. Let's see if the other side was the same way. I didn't even pay attention to that when we were looking at it a second ago. Yep, see, it stops. Why it would stop, I have no idea. That should be going all the way across. Rest my blade. I'm resting my blade on the corner of this body line because it gives me a reference, and then I push up and then down. So that way it gives me an exact line. Oh yeah. Exact line of where that cut should be for the door. And then I'll clean that up too with a little bit of sandpaper. All right, so let's get back to cutting. We'll start on this side. Remember, no pressure. Bring it down slowly. Here's a good example of somewhere I skip, and we'll come back with this instead of trying to use this, because this will jump. Now you can do it slowly if you wanted to, and you can even use the other side of the tool and kind of go down too. I'm just creating an indentation right now to give me a better line. I'm just pushing down ever so slightly just to create that. Because I have that curve right there, I'm going to skip that, come back with the X-Acto later, and we're going to run this across. Oh, see? Because I'm holding this in the air so y'all can see it, look what I did. Let's see. Yeah, scratch right there. Normally I'd have this resting. As a matter of fact, I need to do that and just zoom in. My apologies. I'm trying to make sure that y'all see it. But now I have to be careful. Matter of fact, because I created that line, it will be even easier for me to do that again, because now I have a map or a path for this thing to follow. So I'm going to start from the other side now and go this way. Yeah, see, I have way more control with it on the ground, or on the mat, I mean, not on the ground. I know that sounds rough, but that's no pressure. I'm not putting any pressure. It's just the tool doing it itself. I'm just dragging it. It kind of, when you drag it, it kind of puts a little pressure on itself because of the way it's shaped. So that's why you don't have to push down, which is awesome. I mean, because I've always had to push down with the X-Acto knife. So that's why you need to get you one of these tools if you don't have one already. And that's looking good. I might do it one more time. Now sometimes when the thing's jumping like that, look at it closely because it will leave little ridges in there from where it was jumping. It didn't this time, so we're good to go there. Now I'm going to go up this panel. Remember when I was talking about knowing when to push and when to pull? Here's an example where, because I'm going up the slight hill with no pressure, I can push it back down because it's creating a good little groove. And now I have really good control over it because it's created a nice little groove. And once I get this one done from pulling from the opposite direction, I will be able to do the same thing. Guys, remember, this is not for everybody. There's no need. I say this a lot because I get it a lot. It's not fair, but don't comment that this is elementary. And also remember, I'm no professional. I'm a YouTube creator. There's several different ways you can do this, okay? So you're going to want to do it the way it's comfortable for you. I have a lot of beginners that watch my channel, and I absolutely love them. And that's who this is for. Now, if you're an old head like me, I still learn every day from watching other videos. So nobody is absolutely perfect. That's for darn sure. I've learned stuff from watching Gundam videos, from watching military videos. I'm messing up because I'm too busy talking. But yeah, so we can all learn. Even if you know how to do this, it's important to watch. I would go back. If I saw somebody making a video about this, I would watch it again just so I can make sure I'm still doing everything right. Now you can see the panel line is actually getting deeper, and that's what you want. Doesn't have to be too deep because the actual shadow from the panel line itself, which I use black. I've also used gray before on lighter color cars. Because to me, let's say if this was a white car and you do black, it's a little harsh. So you can use the gray. And I've used brown before, and I've used brown on my rusty vehicles, like the van I did, for instance. I didn't use black with that. I used the brown. Important thing to remember is just no pressure.
What would you know about pressure?
Just let the tool do the work. And I know that's hard. That's easier said than done because I've caught myself before doing it. See, this to me looks a little ragged, and I'm going to want to clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my X-Acto because it's a curve. First, I'm going to create that line there. And I'm just letting the tool follow the line, because that to me a tool does a good job of creating that good deep gouge. And what this X-Acto does, and I'm not using the front, I'm using the back of the blade, if I haven't said that. What this does is basically clear out any of those little plastic pieces that might be in there still. You can see them pop them out as I go down it. There, see that to me, once we prime it, some of that's going to get filled in. And that's the other thing. After you prime it, you're going to want to look at it real good. And I went down, I want to say it was this one. No, it was the other side. Yeah. This one, after I primed it, got a little bit, I guess, lost in the primer. So I went back down it again, but I did not use this because there's already a good line created. I just went through with the X-Acto one time and it cleaned it all out and it looked good. So again, just knowing when to use it and when not to is the important thing. I'm going to go over this, as I said earlier, this molding. Now I am using a sharp part on this molding so I can create, just like we did with the belt molding, I just want to create that depth and cut through it a little bit. Because if you look at a car, a one-to-one car, and you see this molding going down, because they have to make it to where the door opens and closes, you can usually see inside that molding just a little bit on both sides. So I tend to open those up just a little bit, and not extreme. Please remember, not extreme. You saw how little I did that. And now I'm going to go around this curve, but you see what I did? I'm not going to try to go around the curve this way because I don't feel like I have the same amount of control. I'm actually going to go this way. So since that line is already there, I'm going to turn it on the back side. And I'm just going to come and just slowly go around that corner. And I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times. And I just saw that I did something that you should not do. I did not clean my blade or the track out before doing it again. Remember, I'm not pushing down. All right, there we go. I'm confident with that. And that's all it takes. You don't have to do a whole bunch, because what's going to happen, and I am going to do it on this car, because this car acts like clear. So I'm going to show you. I hope this works out. I don't want to look like a darn fool, but let's pretend like I primed it, I put a white gloss on here, and then I cleared it. It's nice, shiny, cleared. This should react the same way as if I'm putting panel liner on a painted surface, because it's slick. So, let's make sure this is shook up a little bit. I load it, but not really bad. Oh, make sure you have a couple of these and some of these sharper ones. The sharper ones are just for emergency. I tend to use these more, and what I like to use is a like a lacquer thinner, which this is completely empty. Oh my goodness. Any kind of thinner for whatever paint you're using. Let's say this was lacquer. I will usually use like an airbrush cleaner, just because it'll wipe it off. But this should wipe off anyway. If your clear is done really nice, it should wipe off anyway. So now what I like to do is usually start at the top. I'll just put a dab and let it run. And you see what it did there? Let's do this side too. Sometimes you got to put a little more. Look, it even works its way around the corner. I have not loaded the brush back up because there's plenty in there. And now everywhere I dabbed it and it left those little black marks, that's what this is for. See, it even filled in that scratch that I had. So that's why you want to, that's exactly why you want to fill those in. This would normally have cleaner on it. And I did a bad job on that one right there. This is just an example, so I will actually go back and fix all that. That came completely out. I didn't even do that one. Plus, I still got to get all the filler lines and stuff out. Boy, that's a good example of why you got to fix your scratches. That panel liner filled that up like it was nothing. All right, so this is going to be dirty because I still got to do all the work and stuff, but you get the idea. You put you some airbrush cleaner on that and go over that. Don't put it in the line. I'm doing it now because I know I'm going to get it off, but you want to kind of go on the side of it and just clean up everything. There's a lot of staining down here from the panel liner. And definitely don't leave it on too long because it will turn into, it turns into paint if you let it dry, basically. All right, so that's it. Now, again, because this is a white car, I probably wouldn't have used the black. I probably would have used the gray. It's more of a military wash, but already, here's a good example. That's sitting on a shelf. And then this. It looks like the doors will open, even if you're not. Get you a good Tamiya plastic scriber. This is the second one. It does come with the extra tools in here. This pops out. There's your other blades in there. And then it just closes up. You can adjust this to give you, I like to have this out as far as I possibly can because it does feel like it gives me more of that pulling action, but you can adjust this and push it down if you wanted to. So that's a good tool to have. This and a really good number 11 blade in a nice sturdy handle, because that makes a world of difference, especially a square one, so it don't go rolling off and stab you in the foot. So guys, I appreciate you watching this simple tip and trick video. I'm going to start a new series where we're going down this line of model building tips and tricks, and it's going to go over all this stuff, the things like panel lines. We're going to do sanding. We're going to do the proper glues to use. We're going to go over everything, because I have a lot of beginners that are coming back to the hobby, or just now starting the hobby, but a lot that have been doing it since they were little. They're retiring and now jumping back into this wonderful hobby, and a lot of them don't realize all the stuff that has come out since the time we were kids and doing them. So a lot has changed. Tools have changed. The cars have changed. They're just amazed, and that's what is making this hobby so fun. So thank you so much, guys. Shout out to my sponsors, of course. We got MidnightHobbies.com, we got Z-Force Model Works, and we got MCVProducts.com. Go check all those guys out in my description. I've got discount codes for each one of them, so save you some money. Go give those small businesses some love and save some money. Oh, also, while I've got you, if you're interested in these parts trays, I do make them, and I've got them for, all my projects that I'm working on. I actually will keep them all together, and that way it's easier for me to move around. I've got 4 of them on all my tables from this side and this side, so it just makes it easy. I can make them a little bit larger than that, but this size seems to be very well. And the reason why is because even if you have longer stuff like this, it's no big deal. But I can take all the stuff off the sprue, keep it together, even keep it organized to where I know, this is this and this is that. But if I do need to clear off my bench and put another project here, it's easy to do. I do sell those. Contact me in my email address. Just shoot me an email and tell me you want one, and I will hook you up. So just let me know. Again, thank you guys. I know, long-winded. Love y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Until the next time, keep on rolling.